This is
okay.
delicious.
All right, I'm going to share this video. All right, we are sharing. We are having. Welcome to the coaching closet, by the way. Welcome back. We are having. What are we having?
1 year anniversary wedding cake. It's really, really good, actually. I was freaking out. I was like, it's going to be freezer burnt. It's not going to taste good. We got into the outside of it. It was kind of like that. But when we got on the inside, it was just chewy morsels of deliciousness and buttercream.
Yeah, I think
Love it.
Frozen butter is great. Like, I told them, the closer you get to the buttercream, you can't go wrong.
It's kind of like marriage.
Okay. How so?
You got to get into the good stuff to get to the good stuff.
Okay. Okay, we just decided to do a 1 year update. It's a little past 1 year of our wedding. We had our wedding on November 22.
Wait, what? November 11/11?
I said November, and then I said 11/11/22.
Ah, okay.
So you can tell we've been married for a little while now because
The humor has gone up.
it's like,
quite
wait, what?
considerably.
I'm going to correct you now.
It's just helpful reframing. Helpful reframing, we like to call it.
Okay, so
These are part of our crucial and intense fellowships and critical conversations.
yeah, and this year, in 2023, we chose 2 words to represent our year, and those words were growth and grace, because we wanted to grow as individuals and a couple, and we wanted to have grace for each other and for ourselves in the midst of that growth. So those 2 were important for us.
Yeah, one of my favorite mentors and speakers always says that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. And so when we set out at the beginning of 2023, we both knew that we had, things to take care of in our journey, emotionally and physically, and in all of our financially, in all of our areas. There's areas of growth and areas that you want to see. You're here and you want to go to here. So it's like that gap is the growth journey. And so we focused on those 2 words and then we also need to give each other grace, because neither one of us is perfect. Neither one of us walks on water. I mean, I can a little bit, but it has to be frozen. So
I was like,
so you gotta be able to give grace to each other, especially in a marriage relationship where it's 2 fallen people coming together for something beautiful, something big.
yeah, so we just wanted to share our journey, and we want to continue to. We've been really busy just living the journey of marriage this year. I mean, we kind of not dropped off, but like when we were dating, we were like really putting a lot of content out on Facebook and stuff, and we still do, but not as much as we want to.
Not as much as a couple. A lot of individual,
yeah,
but not as much
with
as
our businesses, but we want to inspire people, and that's something we are aligned in, both of us. And so, but we kind of took a step back and just nurtured our own relationship because we had to.
Yeah.
You don't come together in your 40s with a past, with families and kids and everything else, and not encounter like steep learning curves. And I tell people that all the time, like, you don't, so we did, and we have had to pay attention to that and give our time to learning a lot of things about each other.
I mean, growth isn't easy. A lot of times you have to face things that you haven't been willing to face before to go to the next level. And so sometimes that can take time and focus. And we like to be social and online and all that stuff, but there are times where you got to hunker down and just say, okay, I got to take care of this for me. And one of those things for me, I'll be transparent, has been alcohol. And I went a long time without touching it. And then there was a few years where it kind of creeped back into my life. And then after we got married, it became a huge problem for me. And so I've had to go back to leaving it alone.
Yeah. Super proud of you.
Thanks,
That's awesome.
babe. Yeah.
Just realizing like what is a problem for you, or what is getting in the way of you being your best self. And I tell clients, like, graduating from things that are no longer serving you in your life. And that's really, those are the things that you gotta get rid of or graduate from.
Yeah. And it has to be replaced with something else. So one of my secrets in that is I drink, and I know I need to drink more still water, but I like drinking sparkling water, and you can pretty much drink that anywhere. And then also I found there's these Heineken Zeros are really good. It's almost tastes like drinking a beer, but it's not. It's zero alcohol.
Yeah.
So shout out to Heineken.
Awesome.
This podcast is brought to you by Heineken.
I'm drinking coffee because like it's Sunday afternoon. We just got up from a nap, and I'm like, I need to write 2 papers this evening, and I need coffee. But
that is the beautiful thing about being empty nester middle-aged empty nesters, is you can take an afternoon nap, wake up, have a little coffee, and go about your business.
That's right. But I drink a lot of water, actual water. So I do tell Micah, hey, you could just drink water. Water's great. Like a lot of times I'm drinking water and he's drinking other like fun beverages like tea, bubbly.
I like all that stuff.
Water is an option.
I do like all that
water's
stuff.
an option. You got to stay hydrated. So let's get into it. I we were talking about like, hey, let's make this video or whatever. I asked Micah, what do you want to talk about? And I suggested maybe a few things that we've learned about each other. I mean, we got married after 95 days, and then we had the wedding after 6 months. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't even know they're going to marry someone after 6 months. So last year,
we see people there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone has their own timeline, but we see people that are like perpetually in the dating mode where they're never willing to step up to the commitment, because that's what it is. It's a commitment. It's a commitment for better, for worse, for sicker and for health, for richer, for poorer. It's like a commitment. And so I think a lot of people these days may be afraid of leveling up to that commitment, and they just kind of want to have their cake and eat it too, so to speak.
Yeah. Instead of just having the wedding cake.
But guess what? You can have this kind of cake, and after a year, it tastes even better than it did the night we got married.
Yeah, I mean, we have learned so much about each other. I mean, everything we knew before. So I will say this, it's not always the case with couples that get married that fast. The video I published last week, you guys know, like, it wasn't the case in that scenario. And so you do have to do your due diligence in getting to know somebody.
Man.
No matter how much length of time you get to know them. So you have to dig in and get to know them.
Where can they see that video? You guys got to see that video. If you haven't seen it yet,
I'll link it up. I'll link it up in the end of this video.
It's harrowing story of a woman who got taken by a con man and survived it, luckily, but she's set her mission in life to make sure that no one else falls for his scam. Yeah. And he's really, really good at what he does. And it's just pure evil. And
I think a lot of the people in my life were scared of like that's what he was going to be. And it happens. It happens more often than not. And a lot of people, even in dating, if they don't marry the person, they definitely get fooled and they go through toxic relationships in similar situations. Maybe not that severe. But I will put that video at the end of this one. But so back to like what we've learned, everything we knew when we met is still true, was still true, that we knew God had brought us together. We knew that like this was meant to be, and that we were going to be best friends and everything else.
I don't think we knew how deep everything would go, but because it was already like, it was already there, that we had an incredible connection on many, many levels right out of the gate, as you probably know. You would assume if we got married that fast. But now it's just even gone deeper and deeper, and it's not like it's all roses, right? Rose bushes have thorns, and you got to go through those thorns to get to the roots and that's where the growth and the grace and the healing and all that comes from. So we've gone through some challenging things. Both of us, and that's not the end of it. There's going to be more challenging things that'll come, but that's the beauty of a rose bush, is that when you get past the thorns, you can see this beautiful, flower that everybody loves to celebrate their love with.
Yeah, but if you've had any kind of, so in my master's degree program that I'm in, which is marriage and family therapy, that's one thing that's new this year, is that I'm in graduate school. I decided to go ahead and pursue my master's.
Lifelong dream.
Yeah, I've been wanting to be a therapist my whole life, and I became a coach, and that's amazing. But I wanted to have even more credentials and be able to diagnose mental illness and stuff like that. So I went ahead and started that in August. It'll be another 1.5 years till I'm a therapist. But I am doing an emphasis in trauma. And if you've had any sort of trauma, and most people have had some, it doesn't have to be something that is, death or even like catastrophic event or abuse. If you've had any kind of trauma, it could be even small traumas. You may end up finding yourself triggered when you get into a really intimate relationship, where if you're single now, or even, everything's kind of going fine in your life, but something happens in your life and you get into an intimate relationship, then that trauma will rear its ugly head. Like, you will just be re-traumatized, or it will come to the consciousness of what's going on. Like, it's subconscious. It stays kind of below the surface. So when we got together, some of our traumas kind of rose up again. If that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, I would love to explain it to you. But that happens. So then we had to address those things. So a lot of times, if you're out there dating, and you get with someone and everything's going fine, and then you start finding yourself disturbed and reacting in emotional ways that you didn't know, like you didn't do before, it might be because you are dealing with past traumas and you just need to go get professional help. And it may not be like, sometimes people think, oh, well, this person's not good for me because I'm reacting in this way. But actually, it's just because you're not able to have a healthy relationship because of the past traumas. So you have to deal with the traumas. It's going to happen in any relationship. Yeah. You're just not capable of getting that close to someone. And that person is trying to have it like really good, like extreme intimacy with you. Yeah. Trying to love you. A lot of people are great at giving love, but not so great at receiving it.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it involves like our families of origin. We all come from somewhere, and our parents do the best that they can with what they had. But a lot of times the trauma comes from our parents, either our father or mother or both. And the divorce rate is through the roof. So there's always trauma that comes with the separation of families. And so both of us are divorced. We both had a marriage that didn't work out in the beginning. And so that's another issue that we deal with, is coming together and blending a family with children that have been through divorces. And it's not easy. And we always recommend to our children, like, get therapy now, like do the work now. So you're not in your 30s and 40s and 50s dealing with this trauma that keeps, circumventing, the goodness in your life and coming in and hitting you when you're not expecting it and stuff like that. So it's like somebody has to end the generational curse, the generational hand-me-down of generational trauma. And it's like, why not you? Why not now? That's kind of our mentality. Yeah. That's why we're digging into this stuff now, because we're sick of it being part of our life, and we don't want it to be part of our children's life. So it's a huge thing to be able to, it's a big gift to be able to heal and give that example of what a healthy relationship looks like. And sometimes working through these difficult things is exactly what our children need to see.
Yeah, exactly. So so that's been something really great. It's beautiful when, and I've seen it with other couples, like you can get together and heal and grow together. And that's how it's supposed to be. So we want to talk about the fact that how do we know we're soulmates?
Well, I mean, we both are really working on our relationship with God, and we spend time in the Word. And I just posted something on Facebook today about, it was like a picture of Steve Jobs and had all these success habits. And I added drink more water, which we've talked about, study the Word of God, and exercise. Like, those are things that they didn't talk about in there. Yeah. But those are all things that I think Chris Brady did 12 daily habits. And I remember reading that, and it stuck with me. Like, every time I'm not drinking enough water, I remember, oh yeah, Chris said I need to drink more water. So, but God has played a huge role in both of our lives, both before we got together and bringing us together, and now afterwards. And honestly, I think sometimes for people that don't know God, it's like you're missing out on one of the most beautiful, miracle-producing elements of this journey, because we're only here for, like, we're a grain of salt. We're only here for like a flash of the morning dew melting off the grass. I mean, it's like a flash. And so what are we doing each day to get closer, to heal, to feel God's presence in our life? And, he comes through nature, he comes through people, he comes through the Word of God in the Bible, he comes through your spouse. He'll speak through anything. But the key is, like, for us, is just to be hungry to know the Word and to live by it. Like, we were in a service today. I'll let you speak to this, Richele, but we were in a service today, and the pastor is actually the father of our pastor, and they swapped churches today. And he was just talking about, like what it looks like to have a godly walk, and to not follow the ways of this world, but to seek his truth and righteousness and become sanctified. And it was a powerful, powerful sermon.
Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, well, I was gonna go back to the soulmate thing. Like, what does that even mean to be soulmates? I think coming together. I think it's confirmations. Knowing. I mean, you have to know God's spirit and be in alignment with Him to know when you found a soulmate. I think like it's a spiritual thing, and so. We were both praying for a spouse when we met each other. I mean, I walked in his apartment and saw a picture of an engagement ring on his vision board. I'm pretty sure I said that in the video that we posted about married in 3 months. And then, but there's been confirmation after confirmation since then of, we both are like seeking after God, seeking after knowing our Creator and His purpose for our life. And then, like, we say the same things at the same time. Like, I'll say something, and he was like, I was thinking that. Like, we have the same purpose in our heart to help people. I mean, it's just constant. It's a constant flow.
There's an alignment that can only be explained by God's will and His love.
It's crazy.
But here's the thing: is in your interview with the other lady, that guy mirrored her, and he gave her the impression that he had all those things too. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So you got to be careful with that because, like, you really got to know who you're dealing with. And I think the biggest signs, like, one of the biggest things for Richele and I, like, when she met my community, like, I have a large community around me, and she met people that are close to me that have known me for more than 10 years.
And you've met people that
and I've met her family. And so that's a huge giant red flag. If you're with someone, it's like, oh, we're soulmates, and they're love bombing you, and they're doing all those typical things that like a sociopath or a narcissist would do, then you got to watch out for that, because if they don't have anybody close to them, that's a huge red flag. You pretty much guaranteed you're dealing with somebody that's way off kilter. But the fact that we plugged into each other's communities, and most of the people, like not everybody, but most of the people had very, very amazing, nice things to say about Richele and who she is as a woman and as a mother and as a person. And same thing for the people that she met. Like, she was showing her intention, which we shared on the other video, to people, and they're like, oh, that's totally Micah.
Yeah. So you got to meet their people. It's very important.
It's another confirmation.
Friends. Yeah, that's a confirmation for sure. And then another thing about what we've learned and then had another confirmation about is that we're best friends. And I think friendship in a marriage is extremely important.
Huge.
You cannot, and so if you're dating someone and you have great chemistry and you have that attraction, but you do not have a friendship like underneath all of that, where you can just hang out anywhere, go anywhere and have fun together, like, that is not good. Not
be judgmental, not criticize every single thing that you don't like.
Yeah.
Although we do that sometimes too.
But we can laugh at each other. And I mean, what happens now most of the time that we've gone through some major hurdles is that if someone's being cranky or whatever, like, the other one can make a joke, and then we just start laughing at that.
We know why. There's either hangry or whatever.
Either hungry, tired.
Yeah.
Or pissed about something else.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, it's anyone can have chemistry. Anyone can have, amazing sex with somebody. Anyone can do all that. You can have that with many, many people. Yeah. And that's not the secret to life. The secret is not to be on a conquest. We were talking about this last night, and as God brought us together, like, we were like ready to get rid of our old ways and get rid of that sort of that seeking and looking and striving mindset, and turn all that energy into looking for God and how we can be closer to Him. And I believe that's what's got us through our most difficult moments, is our love for each other and our love for God. And God is the only reason. Like, He's that chord, the strongest chord. That there's 3 chords in our marriage, and God's the center one, and we're all kind of wrapped around Him, and that's the reason that we're able to get through some really tough stuff.
100%. And I tell Micah, because he like, you even asked me yesterday. It's sweet. He's like, why do you love me so much? And I'm like, honestly,
because you love me.
No, he said, why do I love you so much?
And you're like, because you love me.
You said, why do I love you so much?
And you answered, because you love me.
Because you love me. No, because this particular time, I said,
that's a running joke. That's a narcissist thing. So we always
let me finish.
We do comedy.
I'm gonna get duct tape. What I said was, That's another time.
This is the real
This
us.
actual time was, I said, because God, his love flows through me, because you cannot give out what you don't have. So if you don't know that you are loved by God and that you are worthy, you can't give that love to someone else. That time is what I said.
That's true.
But another time you said, why you love me? And I was like, because you love me.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
Narc vibes.
It's narc vibes. We have a, because I'm a
Don't tell them our sign, because if we're around them.
Oh, okay.
and they'll
Yeah, I'm a narcissistic. I've studied narcissism for 10 years. So at this point, I'm an expert.
Yeah.
It just is. I've read dozens of books.
I'm an expert
studied
by
it.
proxy.
Yeah, we won't tell you how you get to be an expert.
Hey, y'all get there somewhere.
Anyway, so we'll say narc vibes, and we have a little signal that we do. Hopefully, we won't do it if we're running into you guys.
Yeah. Right.
But anyway,
if you see us communicating in Swahili, you probably are going to be in trouble.
But anyway, so yeah. All right, so yeah, we've just been on this amazing journey. I told Micah before we started filming, I was like, I don't want them to get the impression that everything's roses, because it absolutely, positively is not.
It's funny that you say that, though. It is. It is roses.
It's roses.
But
it's
roses have
thorns
thorns.
and blossoms.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because
That's so good.
One thing I will say is, okay, so there are relationships, and being a relationship coach, there are relationships that, if you're out there and you're like, well, how do I even know if my relationship's toxic? Well, first of all, we should have a call. Because there's ways to know if a relationship is, if it has the ability to be saved, or if it has the ability to grow and thrive, or if it's on the road to destruction. And one of the main ways you can know that is if both people are in alignment with the direction and on the same page of wanting to heal that relationship or wanting to do better, So if both people are like, yeah, like we need to fix this and let's fix it now. And then you get on the road and you take steps to improve it and you do the work together and then you're improving it. The relationships that are really in trouble, and I see this all the time, and that's the reason that I was divorced before, is because one person is wanting to heal the relationship and the other person is putting in like 10% effort, while the other person's putting in their 100% and they're doing all the work and they're like, please, please, please do this. And that person's like, I think we're fine, but like, fine, I'll go to counseling once in a while if you make me, kind of thing. The one person's just not, they don't care, or they don't acknowledge it. They don't want to take any responsibility for their part. Those are the relationships that really are hopeless.
They're doomed. Yeah. It's like working in corporate America. If you're doing your thing and you're excelling and you're happy and you're putting in all the work, and then you have someone next to you that's just skating through, they're not doing their stuff. You're picking up the slack for them. It gets really frustrating after a while.
Yeah.
You like just build up resentment towards that person because they're a leech. They're freeloading. They're like a bottom feeder, and it's just kind of repulsive.
Yeah, like this person cares, this person doesn't care. Or this person is like, it's like, okay, it's like, I just thought of this analogy. You got two kids and they're both playing blocks, okay? They said in the beginning, we're going to play blocks and we're going to build this awesome tower together. So they both thought they were on the same page and they start building the blocks. But one kid keeps knocking the tower over. And then he'll put like a couple blocks, and this other kid is like, okay, all right, you put a couple blocks back, let's build a tower. And he keeps knocking it over. But then you'll put a couple blocks, and this one's keeping building, and this one keeps knocking. So this one's destructive, and this one's not. And that keeps happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that keeps happening in a marriage. And it's like, eventually the person building the tower is like,
they're gonna stop.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play with you anymore.
That's right.
I'm not playing. So that's the picture of it. And, that goes on long enough and it just won't happen. So you got to heal together.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest blessing that we're experiencing is just, going through our difficult things, working on healing our past traumas, because we both have them, and doing it together. So, as soulmates with God's love, as best friends, and we bicker, we'll get off track every once in a while, we'll have an argument or whatever, and then it's like our goal is to shorten the time span between when we fall apart and when we come back together. And that's been exciting because we've made some big strides in that. Mm-hmm. And then just giving each other grace to grow, grace to evolve, right?
Yeah,
Just
it's
to
about
love each other
progress,
through it.
not perfection.
Correct.
Just progress.
Yeah.
And like we're getting better at this.
And we can call each other's numbers. Neither one of us likes to be called out. That's one thing for sure, because we're both boss. I'm
both
boss
the
dude,
same.
and she's boss babe.
We're literally the same person.
So we have to we have to do it in love. I call it bacon wrapped shrimp. It's like the shrimp is the truth, but if you put a little bacon around it, it tastes even better. So it's like, if you're gonna tell me something with a little bit of love wrapped around it, so I don't take it like a sharp knife attack, and start defending myself. But that's the key, is find your person, find your vibe, and then develop it as you go. And that's the healing journey. And then do whatever work you need to do. We both read, we both listen to lots of audios and videos. And I'm very specific in what I listen to, because I want results from, I don't take advice from people whose results I don't wish to emulate. So if I don't know who they are, and I don't know what their results are, or if their results are worldly and it's all, about fame and money and this and that, I'm like, I'm not interested. I want results from people who I respect, and I want to emulate their results in every area of life, not just with money or not just with relationships, but all areas.
Right.
Relationship with God mostly. And so I think it's really important to get on a regimen, get on a program. And if you have interest in that, ask Richele, like, hey, what do you guys use? And we can route you to information that'll be pertinent to your journey. That's everything for us, is like to continue to grow, have a growth mindset, and not be fixed, not be stuck, not be like pity party. If you do a pity party, fine, but don't do it for long, right? Like people don't want to accept that invitation to come to your pity party.
Yeah, I just did a speaking engagement on Friday, and it was on personal growth, and I was like, you should always be growing. I am just a voracious reader, and I want to learn more all the time. I mean, there's not a moment in the day, usually. There are some, but like that I'm not listening to a book, audiobook, even if I'm doing chores, or reading, or listening to an audio, or watching a YouTube on a subject in psychology or relationships or something. Like, it's always going, because I need to know more. And so I encourage you to, if you're struggling with something, you can get a free education. I was telling these ladies on YouTube. I mean, you can get, make sure you know who you're listening to, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad advice out there too.
Yeah, like reach out. I can help you with resources. There's some really good ones. Or audiobooks. Those are amazing. And you can just have those going in the time that you have, that you're doing other things, like putting on your makeup, getting ready for work, or doing laundry, or whatever your schedule is, driving.
Ask us about our top 10 book list. Like we both have some books that have changed our lives, and some of them overlap. That was one of the cool. That was another confirmation for us, is that some of the books that we both have read and have really blessed us are the same. And so I have a top 10 list. She's got a top 10 list. So ask about those. Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, we're not some kind of perfect special couple. We have tools, and we have things that we did that got us to the point where it's like, we praise God, like we got to a point where we found someone after disastrous situations, to be honest. And I think, we have to give glory to God for that. And we asked him specifically to lead us to our spouse. He did. He's blessing it, even after we were each individually were completely off track. So if you feel like, well, I've gone way too far, I've done things that you don't even know about. Well, we have too, and we did, and we were talking about that last night. Like, I'm like, and God's still using us. Like, He loves to do that.
You got to have faith, man. You got to have faith, because God can do things that we can't even fathom. We don't even know how to ask or think about what He can do. So we have to walk in faith, not by sight. And
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We see miracles all the time.
Yeah.
So we are here to just encourage you and let you know, like, it's amazing. And we have had spiritual warfare during this year of marriage. It's been crazy.
It's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah,
for sure.
We've had people, I think spiritual warfare use people to bring us down and bring us challenges, but that too just helps us to grow even more. So we're grateful for that too.
That another author speaker that I love says that you turn your rejection into energy, and you'll never be thirsty. You'll never not have fuel, because you can take people's criticism and people's negativity and their gossip and all the slander and all the stuff that they do out there in their little dark circles, and you can leverage all that to propel yourself towards your destiny.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. And one of the goals for 2024 is to bring more content to help people, because we both really enjoy that. So if you want to comment, we'd love to hear from you and say hi. Also, if there's any topics, any part of this that you loved most, or any topics you'd like to hear us talk about, we'd love to do that. So let us know about that too.
Yeah. And you can always write to Richele at coachingcloset@gmail.com.
Yeah. Do that. Please follow us on Instagram at Coaching Closet. You can follow RIKMIK Official on Instagram. We don't keep up with it as much as we need to, but we are on there, and we'd love to hear from you or see you. So, all right. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
All right.